Good morning, everyone. And again, happy Easter. Easter's a season, and we're only halfway through. So, the season of resurrection. And we have quite the resurrection story today that we'll go deeper into. First, I forgot to announce, I wanted to welcome Jessie, our singer. She is here today. She is, yes, Autumn is away on her European adventure somewhere. London. Okay, London, maybe. Okay, yeah. The UK adventure, sorry. So thank you, Jessica, for being with us today. But yeah, like I said, we had this amazing resurrection story today. It's one of my favorite stories in all of Scripture. I say this a lot, I feel like, but I'm gonna like lean into it. It is one of my favorite stories in Acts, one with Peter, where he's explaining to his friends why he ate with the enemy. Right? Uh, he has this rooftop vision and ends up walking into the home of someone that he was taught to fear, right? Now, when we talk about this story, it's hard not to veer into like political territory. And now, when I say political, mind you, I'm not saying partisan, right? I'm not saying like the U.S. year 2025, left and right partisanship. I'm saying politics. I'm saying the way that we live together, right? Something as boring as how does water get to our homes that we don't even really think about has a lot to do with the political. And we can't really avoid this with the gospel, right? The gospel is political in this way, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And I always like to say this disclaimer: I'm not a political scientist. I'm not trained in sociology. So please, just if I say something ridiculous, know that I second guess myself all the time. So yeah, we're all in this together. But yeah, I get itchy, when I veer into punditry. So I'll go more into that why I do. But some pastors say you should preach with the gospel or the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other, right? I think that's exhausting. I could not do that. I'm not designed to do that. Some pastors are really good at it. I'm not. So I will not do that to you or to myself, especially with our tidal wave of hot takes and half truths flooding our phones 24/7, 365. So yeah, so I hope today's message is more evergreen, right, than reactionary. That's my goal here today. I hope it's something that you can come back to when you lose heart, right? Which a lot of us are kind of there, maybe. And I'm encouraged. We went to Claire Marie and myself and Sandy Olson Decker went up to our Synod Assembly yesterday. Our bishop, Jeff Johnson, was kind of the host, and this was kind of the core of his message was to not lose heart. So that's the focus today. Wherever you are in your life, that's I hope the focus. So, but I will be honest, when I see cruelty being normalized, especially by people in power, my first instinct is to call them out, right? To draw a line and say, if we can just get rid of them, then the world will be fine. Like I'm actually, as I say that, I'm thinking, yeah, actually the world would be fine if we just got rid of them. And I've actually said this from both sides of the political spectrum throughout my life. If we just got rid of them, if we just, as I've kind of grown and evolved, whatever. But that's kind of where my mind goes. I'm not sure about you. Maybe you've said that to yourself. If we could just get rid of them, then everything would be fine. But here's the thing, and I say this with a heavy heart. I really do, because my job would be a lot easier if this wasn't the case. But that voice is the ego's favorite game. It's the blame loop. It's Cain versus Abel, around 22,453. This isn't just political. It's spiritual. It's existential. No one leader invents this. They're not that creative, right? This is an ancient virus of disconnection and division that runs right down the center of the human heart, but gets projected outward toward the world. And yes, It's holy to resist injustice, to stand against hatred, misogyny, racism, corruption, and just general harm done to your neighbor and to yourself. But when resistance becomes superiority, when it gives us permission to dehumanize, we've lost the plot, and we become the very thing that we resist. Now again, authoritarianism, Christian nationalism, white supremacy, these big systemic evils that we hear about, they're not just philosophical disagreements, they're spiritual threats and physical threats. They harm real people, right? And they must be resisted. It's what Christians have been doing for a very long time. Nothing new, right? But here's the gospel twist. We resist them not by becoming superior or cruel, but by being drawn deeper into the cruciform, Christ-shaped resurrection of love. A self-giving love that confronts without condemning, that protects without dehumanizing. Jesus wasn't about domination. The late theologian Robert Capon would call this right-handed power. He was about left-handed power, self-emptying love. Now, when I say right and left, again, that's not partisan US 2025 right and left. That's just right-handed power versus more of a passive, up from the ground, left-handed power. Do you see the difference? Do you feel the difference? Maybe it's more of a feeling tone kind of thing. But these movements, these evil ideologies, when they raise their ugly heads, they speak to something primal in us. They speak to a longing for security, for identity, belonging. And they're all rooted in one thing: fear. And no one on either side of the partisan aisle is immune to that. I want to share something with you that I don't tell a lot of people, but I don't know why I'm saying it from the pulpit. But here we go. I don't share my middle name a lot. I actually like I like the sound of it. You know, my middle name is Nicolo. It sounds cool in Italian. I'm not even Italian, right? But I like the sound of it. But my dad gave me this middle name, and I was named after Niccolo Machiavelli. Does anyone not know who maybe you've called someone Machiavellian? That's never like a compliment, right? Niccolo Machiavelli he wrote this book called The Prince in the 1500s, and he was a political philosopher for the ruling family of Italy in the time, the Medici family. The Prince is something that every mafia boss has in their bedside table, right? Every authoritarian ruler has a copy of The Prince. And he had me read this book when I was like 13. And we talked about it. I don't know if he was trying to get me into politics, but all it did was like, oh my God, this is awful, right? I kind of want a t-shirt that says, I wish my dad would give me an inheritance, but all I got was this lousy middle name. I wish. Sorry, Dad. I know he's listening. I read it, when I was young, but what I got was this: partisan politics at its worst becomes a contest of domination, right? About who can control whom, and nobody comes out of this unscathed, left or right. Do you remember the show House of Cards on Netflix? Remember that? I think that's pretty accurate, right? You just can't, and if you're in the political world, you can't escape this dynamic, right? Left and right are all embroiled in a thought system that looks like political might, but is really just fear. But God can work with that. God can work with that, and that's okay. That's okay. But when fear becomes our lens, we start calling domination peace and exclusion holiness. That's not the gospel. That's the ego, right? That's a spiritual contagion. a spiritual cancer. Let's jump back to the story with Peter. He's up on the rooftop, right? He's hungry, hangry maybe, and he gets this mystical vision. A sheet lowers from heaven filled with animals that he's been taught since being a very young boy that these are unclean, right? Not just like high in cholesterol, but like existentially toxic. And a voice says, and I think this is my favorite line from God in the whole Bible. Get up, Peter, kill and eat. Shut up and eat it, Peter. And Peter's like, no thanks. I'm a good religious person. I do not eat unclean things. Thank you very much, God. And the voice replies, what God has made clean, you must not call unclean. Gives me pause and has me reflect on all the things that I have called unclean, right? This isn't about food. It's theological dynamite. It's God blowing up Peter's categories, like absolutely wrecking his neat little theological charts with holy napalm. The Spirit is not asking for Peter's opinion. She's rearranging the furniture of his entire worldview, and she doesn't ask for permission. Your map is too small, God says. I'm bigger than this. And with me, you are bigger than this. And right after that vision, Peter is invited to the home of Cornelius, a Roman centurion. This is not just like some random Gentile. This is a Roman centurion, a representative of the empire, a real threat to Peter and his people. So a quick side note, when you think that God is working against you by putting you with people you find difficult, right? Know that that might be the Holy Spirit working. And Peter goes. Now, God knows that the only way that we truly change in a Christ-shaped way is by sitting down at a table with our enemy. And Peter says, to explain to his friends who are canceling him for doing this, the Spirit told me to go with them and not to make a distinction between us and them. Who was I that I could hinder God? This might be the most important question in the entire New Testament. Who was I that I could hinder God? Now, real quick, let's jump over to the gospel, which the kids explored in depth, which is amazing. And I'll continue that conversation. Jesus, just before he's publicly executed on the cross, tells his friends, who he knows are about to betray him in the most graphic way possible, I give you a new commandment, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. Not agree with one another in all things. Not fix the world together in this way that you think is the right way. Just love one another. But it's not like the Beatles. I mean, I want to like cue the all you need is love. It's deeper than that. Because he adds, as I have loved you, which can only mean across betrayal, across fear, across difference, across party lines, across purity lines. That's what Peter is doing when he walks into the house of the man he was raised to avoid. He didn't wait for Cornelius to change, didn't wait for clarity, didn't even want to go. But the Spirit dragged him lovingly by the collar. This isn't sentimental love. It's not spiritual bypassing. This is love that costs something, that costs everything. Your whole identity and sense of self that makes a distinction between you and them. It's a love that makes you give up the illusion of being better. Love that holds your heart open when everything in you wants to shut it down. Again, here's a scandal. The Spirit doesn't wait for Peter to be ready. Doesn't wait for Cornelius to clean up his act and stop persecuting the Jews and the Christians. The Spirit fell first, and the Spirit still does. God is already loving the people we've given up on. God is already healing the places that we avoid. The grace of Jesus is already walking before us, running before us, breaking categories, healing the ancient wound of separation. And that white sheet, it's what the mystics call a holy instant. It's a flash of divine mercy that heals our perception, that lifts the veil. The illusion of division falls away, and we remember, oh, there is no them, only us. Friends, we don't go to heaven alone. We go in pairs. We bring the one we judged. We bring the one we feared. Because in truth, if there is only one God, if God is all there is, there's just one of us here. So what if the person you most struggle with is someone that God is already embracing? Not like approving of everything they do, right? But already working on or working with, already healing, just like God is doing with you and me. I want to take a minute to center us in a little prayer. Cameron's going to help us set the mood. If you just like to close your eyes and just kind of settle into your seat. God of wide mercy, we cannot hinder you. It is impossible, and for that we give thanks. We give thanks. For you move faster than our minds can reason. You fall upon those we fear. You speak through those we judge. You bless those we've written off, including ourselves. We confess how easy it is to make distinctions, to label others as wrong, dangerous, unworthy, even when our grief is real, even when harm has been done. And yet your Spirit keeps showing up where we least expect. It falls on us and heals our perception. You lift the illusion of separation. You wake us from the nightmare of conflict. And you break down the walls that we swear you wanted up. You remind us that grace is not a reward, it's who you are. So today we trust. You are giving us a new heaven and a new earth. You expand our hearts without dulling our clarity. You free us to resist evil without becoming it. You work in us a love that is stronger than fear. Oh God, we are grateful for this awakening. You have answered this prayer. It is done. It is finished. We release it into your everlasting arms, knowing that you are already working in the places that we dare not go alone. And so it is. And so we go, two by two, as one in you.